Can you is that line?
Thank you for bringing that up. I don't want to. Well, were they not? Hold on a second. Was Karen and her mom? Did they have to move or anything from the hurricane, or they're still in their same apartment?
They're in the home that was a friend. Still out on the beach. Now it was damaged by trees. They're still.
They were there the whole time.
They left and came back. They actually got caught on the road during the hurricane because they got scared at the last minute left.
So which hurricane was that? Hurricane
Irma. That put the trees in their house. We just got winds off of it, and I'm assuming that's not.
Ross said it was.
Yeah, it was. And the moms on one end, parents on the other end, and they were right through the middle of it. So I don't want to give them information.
Well,
but they want to know how they've been impacted.
Okay, good morning, everyone. It is time for the VISTA Supervisor call. So thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to participate in this call today. Just a few housekeeping reminders. Please press *6 to mute your lines. I do hear a little bit of background noise, so just remember if you are joining us via phone, please press *6 to mute your line. And Julius, my amazing colleague, will be helping me by monitoring the chat today as well as recording this call. So without further ado, let's begin. So just a quick recap of the agenda for today. We have the VISTA highlight, the NSRD recap, recruitment best practices, criminal history checks, reporting best practices, the NSCHC exemption process, and the VISTA sponsor convening. So to kick it off, we just want to extend a big thank you to those who helped facilitate a National Service Recognition event. For those of you who may not know, the National Service Recognition Day is a day where thousands of local leaders across our great nation honor National Service volunteers by participating in recognition events or facilitating recognition events or issuing official proclamations and making it known the great things that all of our National Service volunteers do. So a big thank you to all the programs that helped assist their local officials within the great state of Florida to engage these events and help the community participate in recognizing these amazing volunteers. I also wanted to give a thank you to the City of Orlando. They invited me as well as our state director to participate in a National Service Recognition Day event that was held by their mayor, Mayor Buddy Dreyer. And Nancy and Julie are part of the Orlando Cares VISTA program. Had a great time, and it was very nice to see all the individuals that were being recognized that day. So thank you again for that invitation. On to the next, we just want to give a big thanks to Jermaine Hanna. Jermaine Hanna is a VISTA member with the Florida Dream Center. This is a project that has a focus on human trafficking in Pinellas County. So as a result of resource development efforts, the VISTA member, Jermaine Hanna, part of the Florida Dream Center, was selected out of 3 finalists to receive a grant in the amount of $48,000 to provide key pieces in the lifetime continuum of care of survivors of human trafficking. The grant is being offered by 100 Shares of Tampa Bay. It is a local faith-based foundation in Tampa, Florida. So a huge thanks and congratulations to Jermaine Hanna part of the Florida Dream Center, what an amazing accomplishment. And this is just one of, the many great things that our VISTA members do across the state of Florida. So really an amazing accomplishment. On to the next here, we're going to talk a little bit about best practices for recruitment. We know that all of your organizations tend to struggle from time to time looking for the right candidates and trying to find the right pool of individuals to participate in your VISTA programs. So we just wanted to talk out a few ideas or strategies to recruitment. First, keep it local. Promote within your community the individuals who are probably best fitted to suit your VISTA projects are those who are living within those communities right now. A lot of the areas that have VISTA projects also have nearby maybe technical colleges or universities in the area. That's a great place to reach out and recruit. Also not forgetting the local workforce development organizations that we have in the many areas that we have VISTA projects. Goodwill, Career Source, Employee U are all great resources. Many of your organizations already have volunteers coming in and doing different types of services. Maybe within those volunteers that are already helping your organization, you can talk to them about this VISTA opportunity. Many of them might not know about AmeriCorps VISTA as an option to serve. So I think it's important to educate all those who have connection to your organization about what this opportunity is. And last but not least, the other national service programs that are available. So get connected to Volunteer Florida. They have a website with all the grantees. Just off the cuff, AmeriCorps State National, City Year, Public Allies, NCCC, all of those programs, most of the individuals finish their terms around early spring or the end of summer. So that's a great time to try to catch those individuals and potentially get them to participate as a VISTA member for another year of service. That's a great opportunity to get connected. Once again, we want to reiterate that meeting your VISTA slot allocation is crucial. Every month we do ask for a projection by the first of every month. So we want to know how many slots you're going to be filling, if there's any slots yet to fill. We just want to make sure that your projects have policies in place to be able to onboard VISTA members in a timely manner. We really encourage you, for those who do not have all of their VISTA slots filled, to fill in the remaining slots that you do have before the end of the summer. Unless you have spoken with your program officer about not filling those slots or what your game plan is for filling those slots, be attentive to the upcoming VMOs and planning accordingly when it comes to onboarding your VISTAs. Consistently failing to meet your allocation is viewed as a program management weakness and can lead to compliance issues. So we just really want to encourage you that if you are struggling with recruitment, please reach out to your PO or talk to other VISTA supervisors and get connected within your network. I thought this would be a great opportunity now to just take a pause, and if any of you are really killing it in the recruitment area, to please share a little bit about what you've done to recruit the pool of candidates that you have within your VISTA program. So I'm going to open it up now to all of you to share a few ideas if you do have something at this time. And Julius, if you have any comments that you can read in the chat, please feel free to do so. And if you do want to share something, just remind you that if you are joining us by phone, you have to press *6 to unmute yourself to be able to say something. Julius, is there anything going on in the chat?
Hello, yeah, it looks like Mary Matthews with Community and Schools in Florida is typing something, so we're just waiting for her message.
Okay, great. And feel free to join on the line if you want to say something quickly about best practices for recruitment. Feel free to share with the group. This is a learning opportunity. All right, I think we might move on to the next slide and we'll get Mary's feedback here in a second. So when we're talking about recruitment, obviously the requirements come into place, and some of you do get individuals who have criminal history. So let's talk a little bit about criminal history checks. Number one, documentation is 100% required. So copies of the final court disposition and a brief summary of support for that individual VISTA member or VISTA candidate, I should say, from the VISTA supervisor is required. So there should be no candidates in the portal who have said that they have a criminal history. They should not be in the portal unless the documentation has been submitted to the state office. This is really important. Criminal history disclosure. If the VISTA member does not disclose their criminal background, unfortunately, the state office will be unable to support the member. So from time to time, after the fingerprinting kits are completed and processed, sometimes a criminal history does pop up and come back. If they did not disclose, unfortunately, we will not be able to support that member in continuing with their service. I think this is really important to note. We need that documentation if they have disclosed. It's really vital for them to be able to continue their service. I just wanted to make a special note on arrests. It would be very proactive for you to tell all your candidates to gather final court dispositions of any charges that did not lead to a conviction, excuse me. So from time to time after the fingerprinting kits have been processed, some hits come back on an arrest that they had, but it did not turn into a conviction. If they can get documentation to show that that is the case, that there was no conviction or no charges, that would be very helpful for us to be able to adjudicate that individual. From time to time, there are hiccups that come up on the FBI report, so just be proactive, ask them to get that information ahead of time. It is not required for them to disclose any arrests that did not lead to conviction, but I think it's an important note to just tell everyone that if there have been some arrests and if something does pop up, that they have that documentation to then show if there are any issues. At this time, are there any questions or things in the chat being posted? Julius, can you give me a 411?
Yes, nothing in the chat has been posted yet concerning some criminal history checks. We did hear back from Mary Matthews on her success with recruiting VISTA members.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to go back to that very quickly.
Sure, let's go back to that.
Okay, well, just hopping back to that very quickly, Mary says that Communities in Schools of Florida works directly with the school districts, such as Gadsden County Schools. They meet with the superintendent, and he understands the importance of helping promising students find out about the VISTA program, particularly the summer associate program for VISTAs. So what Mary has done here for trying to recruit members has been with connecting directly with the school districts and with the schools to try and engage the students that way. So that's a great idea and a great method, especially for those who are using the summer associate program, because summer associates can be 18, so a lot of those students who are graduating seniors can participate. So that's great to hear. And then as well, Mary commented, going back to criminal history checks to bring us back on to point with our presentation.
Yep.
She says that they have had glitches with their level 2 background checks that prohibit service for some individuals, even though they made pass the VISTA background check.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mary, for your feedback, and also thank you, Julius, for relaying that information. I think it's really important to get connected locally when it comes to recruitment, so I'm glad Mary's had a lot of success with that. If you are having issues with your checks, please reach out to your program officer. I know each of your organizations have your own internal processes when it comes to doing checks within your organization. So, but this is specifically in regards to the process that VISTA requires and making sure that they are eligible for service. So please let us know if you have any questions or concerns about that. All right, reporting best practices. This is everyone's favorite topic. So we wanted to go over best practices for reporting because we've had some issues with a little bit of confusion or maybe struggling to collect the data or information to submit to us. So we thought we would just go over a few key points on, best practices when it comes to reporting. So first and foremost, use your VISTA members to collect that information. Essentially, your VISTA members are that information. So ask them or have it be part of their VAD description to collect that data for you. So reporting is a lot easier when it comes to your semi-annual or annual reports. We put out the question there, how do you ask your VISTA members to report? What kind of method do you have in place for reporting? A good suggestion that we can give to you is using Google Docs. It's a great way to collect information and have several individuals have access to that same portal if you don't have some system in place already. We also ask, how often do you ask your VISTA members to report? Minimally, we would suggest that you report at least on a monthly basis. We do say that those reports should be similar in format to those of the progress reports that you submit to us. So the data that they are collecting is not so different from the data that you need to submit. Also, that information from those monthly reports, or it could be weekly reports, is a great opportunity for you to submit a monthly highlight to the state office. We do a request every month to all of our VISTA programs to let us know some of the great things that you're doing. And this is a great opportunity for you to give us a little bit of additional information beyond the semi-annual and annual report to show us some of the great things that you're doing. So these reports are not only a few opportunities for you to show us that great work, but also it is a form of accountability. We need to know how you are accounting for the use of federal funds. So a lot of the determinations for renewals, additional funds, special opportunities, project closures, and compliance, we review the progress reports and any documentation that you've submitted to us, even if it is a monthly highlight, to see if you should be eligible for a renewal or a special opportunity or additional funds. So this is a great opportunity for you to get connected to us and show us what you're doing. So if you do have any issues with how to set up your reporting method, please contact your program officer. They can give you some great suggestions, and also to remind yourselves that it is good to check in with the state office from time to time to let us know how you're doing and some of the successes that you've had. Wanted to touch briefly on the NSCHC exemption process. I want to put out a disclaimer first. This only applies to projects who receive S&T funds and use all or a part of those funds for a supervisor salary. So this doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. But just a quick overview, the exemption period has been extended from March 31st to June 30th, 2019, so that completion date is coming around the corner. Just a reminder that covered staff positions, between November 15th, 2018 and beyond need to be adjudicated. For those of you that don't know, back in December, CNCS created an exemption period to recheck covered staff to avoid disallowance due to non-compliant checks. So in order to be eligible for the exemption process, all the grantees must use TrueScreen to run the NSOPW and FieldPrint to run the FBI background check. So please remind yourselves that you have until June 30th to complete this process. If you do have any questions about this, please reach out to your program officer, or you can also get connected to CHC at cns.gov. If you do send any questions to them, please copy Florida, which is fl@cns.gov. And there's also a link here to the exemption process resources if you need to read up a little bit more about what that is, or details about it. There's a link in the PDF that I will be sending out later today. Last but not least, the VISTA sponsor convening. This is going to be a great opportunity. I'm really excited about it. For those that you may not know, the VISTA sponsor convening will convene staff from sponsoring organizations for an in-person training event. The sponsor convening will be held July 29th to the 31st at the Hilton Orlando Hotel in Orlando, Florida. So for those of you who don't know about it, mark your calendar, save the date. Each VISTA sponsor organization in the nation is invited to send one staff member to the convening, so it is going to be open to the entire country, which is going to be really amazing. But space is limited, so please register before the deadline. The deadline is Monday, June 3rd, which is quickly approaching, at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. I put the link for the registration in this PDF, so please, if that opportunity is intriguing to you, please register yourself and get that space reserved. And please come to the convening since it is in the great state of Florida. I think it's a great opportunity to network. If you have any questions about who should be attending the convening, please contact your program officer. All of us should be there for the convening in July, so it would be a great opportunity to meet each of you and have an opportunity to talk about your amazing programs in person with your program officer. So it's going to be a great opportunity. So I'm just going to open up either in the chat or on the line for questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to add. Remember to press *6 if you need to unmute your line, and I will open it up. Anything going on in the chat, Julius?
Yes, we have a few things going on. Anna Mitzis from Florida State University was just talking about some of the methods that they use when it comes to reporting. They collect monthly member updates, monthly timesheets, and they also have monthly touch bases with each member conducted by the VISTA leader. So that's great to hear everything that's going on at Florida State University. That's a great example of keeping track of reporting and also utilizing the VISTA leader to help with reporting and keep in touch with members and supporting them. Then Mary also talked about how the VISTA send quantitative information and about the number of volunteers, hours, and students served, etc. So it sounds like she has a similar process. And then
Great.
lastly, Mary is also talking about one thing that they highlight with their partners as well when it comes to recruitment is for those who are intermediary sponsors or who have sub-sites, is also allowing the sub-sites to know that they can pick their own VISTA member. And if they are actively searching for them themselves, this makes things a lot easier for the intermediary sponsor when it comes to trying to find a member.
Awesome, great. A lot of great feedback and notes there in those comments. Thank you for sharing. Anybody on the line who would like to share? We're getting a little bit of feedback on the line, but oh, okay. All right. Well, if there are no additional things in the chat and nobody who wants to chime in on the line, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you participating. And once again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about some of the topics that we discussed today, please reach out to the state office or your program officer and get the answers to the questions that you may have. So thank you, and I hope you guys all have a great week.
All right, there's some other things in the chat that came up. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Dorian had asked, I have registered, but he hasn't received a notification. What is the time frame for the notifications to go out? I'm assuming that's for the sponsor convening. Dorian, I will check on that and get back to you. I've assumed you should have already received the immediate confirmation email as soon as you registered, so maybe check your junk mail or things of that nature. But if not, I'll respond to you as well to find out what's going on for sure.
Thanks, Julius.
And then also, lastly, we have Mary in the chat talking about any plans for hurricane season. As we know, hurricane season does begin on June 1st. So I don't know if any projects or have done anything in the past that has been useful when it comes to working with hurricane season or using the VISTA members to spread awareness or what their projects have done in the past. But if anyone would like to comment on that, that would be great.
Yes, please. So hurricane season is upon us. Mary's right. June 1st is the beginning of hurricane season. It runs until November. This will actually be my first full hurricane season in Florida, so exciting times. But for those of you who have programming in place for disaster preparedness and being proactive, yes, please share any resources that you have, or please join on the line and make a comment about something that you've implemented.
Don't have anybody named Safe Space.
Okay. So it sounds like nobody is wanting to share about anything that they've done in terms of hurricane preparedness so far, but that's all right. I know there are some great activities that our programs have put into place, or trainings or some type of curriculum to educate and prepare individuals for natural disasters in general. Hurricane season is, a really challenging time in Florida for a lot of the regions. So it's good to be proactive and be prepared and reach out for your local community for resources and to make sure as many as your community members can be prepared as possible. Any other comments or statements in the chat or on the line? Does anybody want to chime in? All right. Well,
Looks
on
like
that note,
Anna meets us from Florida
okay.
State University typing something. Sorry.
Okay. No, thank you, Julius, for monitoring the chat. I can't see it while I'm presenting, so I really appreciate that assistance.
Anna says she has plans in place, but we can't hear her, so I'm assuming they're lengthy plans. So if you would like to share those in an email with us, that'd be great, Anna, if you're not able to fully articulate that over the phone. We are always wanting all of our projects, VISTA, Senior Corps, to get involved when it comes to disaster preparedness and for hurricane season, because all of our members, since they are national service members, can be involved in some way. So it's great to hear how projects are being creative and useful with making those things happen.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, if you have any great resources when it comes to hurricane preparedness or disaster relief, also opioid abuse prevention and intervention. Those are some really hot topics for Florida specifically, and if you have any really amazing go-to training resources or curriculum or anything that you use that has been really successful, please send it to your program officer so they can share it with the other individuals within the state. I think it's a really great opportunity when we do these calls to network and share the successes that we're having and things that work. All right. Well, if there are no other things in the chat and no one wants to chime in on the call, I think I'm going to wrap it up for us today. Once again, thank you so much for joining us and have a great week.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.